Okay, Rabbi Isai.
Okay, no.
Welcome back. Ready? Rabbi Isai, welcome back to Yerushalmi Bikkurim. Now, in a few weeks, Bez Hashem, we'll finishing Bikkurim soon, but we'll have a siyum on the Seder Moed. And we also still have a lot of luachs around. So if anyone does need, and I can send them abroad, if anyone needs luachs for the year for Yerushalmi, then please let us know. Okay, we are up to Perek Sheni Halacha Gimel, is that right?
Yep.
We're talking about, this is Daf Yud Ches. So we're talking about Dinim Bikkurim, Truma and Maser Sheni, various Dinim that apply to Truma and Maser Sheni that do not apply to Bikkurim. So Yesh Truma, Master, just remind me, actually, we need to get the next booklet for the Shir, for the next Masechta, yeah. Yesh Truma of Maser, Masha Ein came to Bikkurim. So there are Dinim that apply with Truma and Maser Sheni, which does not apply to Bikkurim. Truma of Maser, is a goren. They forbid when the gemar malacha on the fruit has been done. Goren, remember, it's all sort of stacked up, and that's the gemar of the bringing in of the produce in the fields. But still, it's like a gemar. It's a stage, a process stage, which has been reached. And then Truma and Maisa would forbid all the fruit. Even you can't even eat it temporary until you take the right tithes. But yesh lahen shiur, and Truma and Maser Sheni have an amount. You have to separate. But no, at least with Rabbanan, right? Truma is 1 in 40, 50, or 60. Maser Sheni is a tenth after you've taken the other ones. But Nagin b'chol haperos, and applies to all fruit, even if it's not Shuvah Minim. And b'fnei abayis, shloy b'fnei abayis, whether it's the time of base mikdash or not. Uva arisin, and it applies to those who receive the fields to work for them for a set amount of produce per year. They get a share of produce per year, right? This is a certain amount. This is where they get a percentage. Yeah, they receive the fields to work for a certain. There's also actually a certain amount of fruit. The other one, so the other way around. So arisin is where they get a share, an agreed share, and chakoros they get an agreed amount. Okay, so with a sikri coin now, when someone has a murderer, a strong man, comes along, and the owner gave the field out of force, out of worry, out of fear to this strong man, so he shouldn't be killed. Although guys so it's still, the Truma still applies. So you manage to get hold of a field through some person who's taken it by force. There's still the Trumas, Maestras, and so on have to be given, right? The Truma is Truma. They can't bring Bikkurim. Okay, the Gazla, the thief, doesn't bring Bikkurim. He can't say the land you gave me, right? He can't say that. Okay, of a guy's land and with a thief. They do apply to Truma and Maser Sheni, Masha Bikkurim, as opposed to Bikkurim. Now, other types of dinim which apply to Bikkurim, which don't apply to Truma and Maser Sheni, Yesh Bikkurim, Masha Truma Maser. Bikkurim Nikrin, Bikkurim has got a Shem Bikkurim, even it's still grown. And you're allowed to make your whole field Bikkurim. And you are liable for it. You are responsible to make sure it gets to the right place. Right? You have to take on to get it to the base of Mikdash. Yeah, and anything goes wrong, you have to go. But to earn in carbon, and the owners have to bring a carbon shlamim with the Bikkurim and share, and it requires the song of the Levim, Utanufa, and waving in the Azara. Belina, and the owner staying overnight in Yerushalmi after he's brought it. So these dinim apply with Bikkurim, they do not apply with Truma and Maser Sheni. Okay. The Mishnah actually about this shir that the Levim said, Mizmah number 30. It sounds like anyone who brought Bikkurim used to say this. The Bavli says only if they brought grapes and made it to wine, they said shira. Shira is with wine. And it's a takana to say shira with other Bikkurim. Others say no, the shir Levim said was the simcha. The mitzvah Bikkurim is the main thing is besimcha. It's not the same shir mentioned in Erechin. Because in Erechin it's a shir which they said when they waved the Bikkurim. And that's Aved of the carbon. And that shir was on wine. Okay. Let's carry on. Now, after we said various dinim between Bikurim, Truma, Maser Sheni, we're talking now about Trumas Maser, and it says, how is it similar to Bikurim? And in some ways, it's similar to Truma Gedola. So Trumas Maser, which of course Trumas Maser is what the Levi separates from his Maser and gives it to the Kohen. So Trumas Maser, Shavale Bikurim, Shtei Drachim, is similar to Bikurim in two ways. Really Truma betray Shtei Drachim, and to Truma Gedola in two ways. Nitelas min ha-tahira ala tamea. You can separate Trumas Maser from tahor fruit on behalf of Tomei fruit. V'shalom min ha-mukaf, and it doesn't have to be near you. Now you can separate Trumas Maser even though it's not next to the leftovers that you're being mafrish on behalf of. So in these two dinim, Trumas Maser is like Bikurim. But Iseres is Hagoren. It forbids the Maser Rishon which the Levi has. He's not allowed to eat from the Maser Rishon until he separates Trumas Maser. The Yesh Lo Shiur. And in these two dinim, Trumas Maser is like Truma. So the Yesh Lo Shiur. So also it forbids the Goren and it's got a shit, it's got an amount that you have to separate. In these ways, Trumas Maser is like Truma. Okay? Now, we said in the first part of the Mishnah that Truma and Maser forbid the Goren. So what does that mean? You got Gemar Malach of a fruit, you have to separate Maasros, you cannot eat it temporary until you separate Truma and Maser Sheni. Now the Lashon forbidding the Goren sounds like the actual separating. The Hafrosha forbids the Goren. The Goren was not yet fixed for Maasros. The Hafrosha of Truma and Maser is Kovea Chiyuv for Maasros. And that forbids even Achila Sarai until you separate the other Maasros. So how does the Mishnah fit in? What is it? What stage do they forbid the Goren? When you separate them, then you're forbidding the Goren. The Goren is not yet Nikva, and then separating them makes a Chiyuv Maasros. So at what stage does this happen? So say here, how does it explain the Mishnah based on what we've said here? Let's see. So he says, Nicha, I understand, Truma, I say it's a Goren. That, if you separate Truma, then that Goren is now set aside for Maser. It's considered complete, and you cannot eat it temporary. However, Maser, I say so Goren. How does Maser in its own right, Maser Sheni, how does that forbid the Goren? Now, you're going to separate that a lot later, after the Truma. So you've already forbidden the fruit to eat because of the Truma. So the fruit will cover for Maestros earlier on when he separated the Truma. So how is Maser Sheni creating this? So Tifta, we can explain the Mishnah, Sheikdimu b'shibalim. So the owners went and separated the Maser Sheni very prematurely while the produce was still in the ears, as it were. Basically, before it'd been threshed out, before it'd been stacked up, there was no chiyuv of truma yet. It's not considered gemar malacha. Right? Separating Maser Sheni earlier on, that also creates a chiyuv maestros, and you cannot eat it temporary until you separate the other maestros. Now, how do we know that if you separate Maser in that earlier stage that it's considered valid? If the Levi went and took his Maser very early on, when it's still early stage, Patur, you don't have to separate from it Truma Gedola. Right? You don't have to separate Gedola and Gedola. Basically, you only have to separate Trumas Maser from it. Right? Usually, the Kohen should take Truma Gedola first, Rashis, and then the Levi would take Maser Rishon from what's left. What did this Levi do? He went and took Maser earlier on, before the Truma has been taken. So the Kohen is losing a tiny bit, I'll be honest. But Rish Lakish holds, even so, the Maser is not considered Tavel for Trumas Maser. Only Trumas Maser is the only thing that needs taking. And the Levi does not have to give the Kohen a tiny bit of the Truma that he's missing out on. Okay? So you see, the Afrosha of Maser Rishon helps even before the Gemar Malacha. And the same thing with Maser Sheni. If you separate it before the Gemar Malacha, it helps. And the Mishnah says if the owners went and separated Maser Sheni b'Shibalim, then that Hafrosha creates a status that now there's a Chiyuv Maestros. Now, other dinim that apply like Bikurim, but don't apply with Truma Maser Sheni. Bikurim can be acquired, niknin b'mechubel hakaka. The Chesiv says in the pasuk, Bikurim kol Hashem ba'artzam. The Lashon in their land, you can call Bikurim on fruit even though it's still connected to the land. Aisa Adam Konsadel Bikurim. A person can make his whole field Bikurim. The Chesiv says, Bereshis kol Bikurim kol. The Lashon kol means mashma you can make your whole field Bikurim. Okay?
Which pasuk do you have there?
Right, so we've got here a pasuk in Yecheskel. Bereshis Kol Bikurim Kol. Now they say here, the pasuk brought in the Gemara as with the drasha earlier on. Sorry, I read it wrong then. Bikurim Kol Hashem. Sorry, I'm on the next line. Bikurim Kol Hashem. That's right. Lashon Ba'atzam, because it shows you're listening. Then you can read Bikurim on the fruit which is connected to the ground. I said Adam Kol Sadeh Bikurim. You can make your whole field Bikurim. Bereshis Kol Bikurim Kol. So Kol means you can make your whole field Bikurim. Okay? Now the pasuk earlier on also had Kol. And that's in the Torah. And now we bring a pasuk from the Navi. So we want to bring a pasuk unique for each din. Some say the Lashon here is from the doubling of the word Kol in Yecheskel. Okay, the Rambam learns, brings it aside, pasuk in the Torah. Maybe there's a mistake in Gemara or a different Girsa, whatever it is. Now, you are warranted, you are liable for the Bikurim. You have to bring it. So you are responsible on the Bikurim that they are brought to the house of Hashem. With the unim carbon. Never can it says Simcha, Lashon of Simcha with Bikurim. And you find you're bringing your offerings and you shall rejoice. Just like there, the offering of carbon is Shlamim. Also here, can Shlamim, you have to bring a Shlamim. And it requires the share. Never can, it says here, with Bikurim, it says Toiv. Right? It's Toiv. What pasuk here? Samachta b'chol Toiv. Okay. And it says in Yecheskel, V'hinecha lahem kasher agavim yefei kol meitiv nagain. So the nice musical instruments. The wording kasher is next to meitiv nagain. So we learn that also in Bikurim the word Toiv is a remez to shir because we've got meitiv nagain. It's a reference to shir. Okay, so there we are. In Bavli they bring a different limud. In Tachacha it says you didn't serve Hashem b'simcha v'tuv levav. So we learn that the main din of shira is ala korban. That's a reference to shira. And there's a Gzer Shava, the word Toiv in Bikurim, and Simcha v'tuv levav. That also Bikurim needs a share. They discuss the differences between Bavli and Yerushalmi. What's the source of the limit? Well, Tanufa, it has to be waved around. They'll say, he takes the basket, and he puts it down. The rabbis of Bikurim, Tanufa. You see that Bikurim needs waving. Or Rabbi ben Yaakov, like the view of Rabbi ben Yaakov. We bring this various places in Bavli. Rabbi Yehuda also holds that the Bikurim needs to be waved, but he learns it from a different source, right? The word mehinachtai. Okay. So in Bavli, in Menachos, it says the Bikurim needs waving like Rabbi ben Yaakov. And one says, why just mention him, not Rabbi Yehuda? One answer is Rabbi ben Yaakov's source is from a pasuk before Rabbi Yehuda's source. Or that Rabbi ben Yaakov was strong, boki in Chachma. Okay. Belina, you have to stay overnight. The Chesiv says, after you brought your Pesach and you eat it, you go in the morning, you go on your way. Whenever you're turning away from the base of Mikdash to go home, you have to go the next day. You must stay in the night, stay overnight. You can't rush away. And that which we said, you bring Bikurim, you have to stay overnight. That is Sha'ain, you mind carbon. You bring Bikurim, you're not bringing. You're not bringing. The person who's bringing Bikurim is not bringing carbon with it, and then he has to stay overnight because of the Bikurim. But he actually mind carbon. If he's bringing a carbon, then b'loikach anyway. Carbon. There's a separate requirement to stay overnight. Anyone who brings a carbon to Beis Mikdash has to stay overnight. It's the same to Truma Gedolah. It forbids the Gairan. One of them said that Bikurim can be taken from Torah al Tameh. That Tameh fruit is Chai B'Bikurim. And the other one said Trumas Maser forbids, and then we learn Maser Rishon Shekdim Rishon. If you take Maser Rishon too early, then there's no Truma Gedolah obligation yet. And that Maser Rishon is part of Truma Gedola, as we said before, that it is exempt from Truma Gedola. Okay, the Mishnahs now, to the end of the Perek, I'm not talking about Bikurim. We're talking about things which are similar in different ways. We've spoken about some things which are similar and different, so the same idea here. So we'll start with the esrog fruit. Esrog, Shavel Ilan, in some ways, the esrog is like a tree. You follow the budding as like a tree. B'shloisha drachim, in 3 ways. Or the yerek, and it's similar to a vegetable that you follow the cutting when it's harvested, but derech echad, in 1 way. Okay, so what have we learned? This Shavel Ilan is similar to a tree. You follow the budding, but orla, as far as the orla years, of a revoi, and to work out what the 4th year calculation is, of a shvius, and as far as what year it belongs to shmita, based on the budding of the fruit. Okay, there's actually a machlokes tanaim in Bavli if revoi applies with all fruit of the tree or only the grapes of the vineyard. Kerem revoi. The Rishonim learn our Mishnah is according to the opinion who holds neta revoi, so it applies to a few things. Okay. On the yerek, and in vegetables, it's like this. Shemishasle kitasai is surai. That the maisa belongs to the year it is harvested. Yeah, based on the year it's gathered, like vegetables, not based on the budding. Dibram Gamliel. Rabbi Lezer means the travel in and lachal davano. It's the same as tree in every respect. And even with maasa, we'll follow the budding and not after the harvesting. Okay. Now we learned in our Mishnah, in the view of Rabbi Gamliel, an esrog, as far as shvius, you follow the budding. As far as maestros, you follow the harvesting. Sometimes these dinim are going to contradict one another. So im le'ilan, lama liyerek. If it's similar to a tree as far as shmita is concerned, how can it be like a vegetable as far as maestros? I mean, you're going to get contradictions. Mm-hmm. For example, let's say it budded in the 6th year, you cut it in the 7th. If as far as shvius you follow the budding, like a tree, then it hasn't got kedusha shvius, so it's chayv maestros. And then how can it be as far as maestros will follow the cutting like a vegetable and it's like fruit of the 7th year? Therefore, it's potter from maestros. So you're going to get opposites. And also in the yerek lama le'ilan. If as far as maestros it's the same as a vegetable that you follow when it's cut, how can it be as far as shvius it's the same as a tree that you follow after the budding? And you've got a contradiction. So the Gemara answers, Taman Amrin, in Baba they said, look, imagine it blossomed, budded in the 6th year, it grew within the 7th year, it was cut in the 7th year, it belongs to the owner, like a tree. So as far as shvius, we will follow the budding. And it's got dinner fruit of the 6th year, it's not hafka. Or pator, but nevertheless, it's part of a maestros. It does not have a maestro obligation like vegetables cut in shvita, because that's the din that pear shvius are part of a maestros. It doesn't matter to do with hefka or anything like that. So it budded in the 6th, but you won't have to take maestros in the 7th when you cut it in the 7th. Okay, you'll follow the cutting as far as maisa. So if it's cut in the shvius, it's potter from maisa, even though it does not have kedusha shvius, because that's the din. Peres you follow after where they're cut. If it's cut in shvius, it's potter from maisa, nothing to do with hefka. You follow. The shvius hasn't got kedusha shvius, but there's still no chiyuv maestros on it. Right, let's carry on. Amar lein Rav Amnuna. Rav Amnuna said to the Chachmei Bavel, Amrin de Basrei, what are you going to tell me about the following sugya? What is this? Let's see. Nechnas b'shvius the shminis. It went from the 7th year to the 8th year. So it budded in the 7th year, and it grew within the 8th year, and it was cut in the 8th year. So it should be hareu hefka. It should be hefka, like a ilan, like a tree, because as far as dinner shvius, you follow the budding, and therefore it's like peres shvius and it's hefka. And yet chayv and maestros. And even so, it's chayv maestros like a yerek, like a vegetable that was cut in the 8th year. But how can you say this? Because hefka, chayv maestros, how can hefka have a maestro obligation? It can't be. It can't be that the same esrog, as far as shvius, you follow the budding, and as far as maestros, you follow the cutting. So as far as an esrog that budded in shvius and cut in shmita, in the 8th year rather, you can't tell me you follow the budding as far as one thing and cutting as far as maestros. So it's slightly different. I'm Rabbi Yochanan. He says, you know what Rav Gamliel means? B'shar shnei shavua. We're talking about the other years in the 7-year cycle. right? In the 6 years of the 7th-year cycle, when Maestros applies, not the 7th year. That's Mahalech Bakiyarek. Then we treat an esrog like a year as far as Maestros based on when it's cut, like vegetables. Of a Shvius, with the Shemitah year, whether it budded in the 6th and was cut in the 7th, or it budded in the 7th and was cut in the 8th, and Mahalech Bakiyarek, we treat it like a tree. You follow the budding as far as Maestros and as far as Shvius is concerned. And the Gemara brings now 4 situations and explains how Rabbi Yochanan and Kunja Gamliel would paskin. So, hey Chavida. So, what would be the din Kunja Rabbi Yochanan in each of the 4 cases? So, let's see. Case 1. Mechamishis l'shishis. It budded in the 5th year, and you cut it in the 6th. It's got a din of shishis. It's like fruit of the 6th year. It's chayv masa ani. Right? Maestros, you follow the cutting for an esrog. Second case. Shishis l'shriis. It budded year 6, cut in year 7. It's like the 6th year produce, so it's got no Kedush Shvius. And it's Chayv Maestros, which apply from the 6th year. Case 3. Nechnas v'chamishis l'shishis v'l'shvius. So it budded in year 5. It grew within year 6 and year 7. So Legtam b'shishis. So if you gathered it in this year 6, then it's got fruit like year 6, shishis. And Masa Ani. Legtan b'shvius, if you gathered it in year 7, then it's got a din like chamishis. We treat it as year 5, and it's chayav Masa Sheni. Right? Not Masa Ani in year 7, but there has to be some Maestros, it seems. So we'll follow Masa Sheni. Is that right? Year 3 and year 6 is Masa Ani. 1, 2, 4, and 5 is Masa Sheni. So he's saying here, if you linked on bishvius according to this Gerusa, we'll treat it as year 5 and you're chayav Masa Sheni. It hasn't got Kedush Shvius. It budded in year 5. There is a Meister obligation. But there's no Maestros in year 7. So we have to follow the budding time, which is year 5. So therefore he's got Meister Sheni obligation. Okay? Now, you okay with that? Yeah? Hmm? Now the Gemara brings a third opinion, which argues on the 2 opinions of Rabbi Gamliel and Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Seinu Chazar V'Nimna, they went and said, Esrog b'shas lekitasai. You follow when it's cut, le'maestros v'leshvius, for all aspects of Esrog. For maestros and for shvius, you follow when it's cut. Now, which about fixing Rosh Hashanah? Everyone agrees Esrog is like a tree. Rav Yirmiyah, Rav Yirmiyah, B'Shem Rav Yochanan. Rav Simon, B'Shem Rav Ben Levi. I can't mind him, Rosh Hashanah Shalai. The Rosh Hashanah of Esrog is B'chamisha Asav Shvat. It's like other fruits of the tree. It hasn't got a din like vegetables. The Rosh Hashanah is the 1st of Tishri. The Rosh Hashanah for the various years of Maestros all depend on Tu B'Shvat. Okay? The date where it's the year of that fruit growing, and where it reaches at that stage and its growth by that date. Vegetables is 1st of Tishri. In Lanais, it's Tu B'Shvat, according to Beis Hillel. Yeah? Okay. Now, Rabbi Yochanan, what about a general question about Rosh Hashanah of a tree? Rabbi Yochanan Shon Rabbi Yonasan. Now, when we say Shvat is Rosh Hashanah for the tree, does it mean consider on Shoshanim? Shvat, according to what we count in the months of the year, are considered on Shot Kufais. Or maybe Shvat, based on the seasons of the sun. Oh, and the Kufas. Amalei said consider on Shoshanim. Like the order of the years, the months of the year, Afilu of Shana Beres, and even when there's an extra month, the Rosh Hashanah for the tree is Chodesh Shvat. Now, we bring a story. Master Rabbi Akiva, Shalakat Esrog. Rabbi Akiva gathered fruit of an Esrog on the 1st of Shvat of the 2nd year going into the 3rd year. But no Agalav Chumrei Beis Shammai v'Chumrei Beis Hillel. He kept 2 restrictions. He kept Beis Shammai, Master Oni like Beis Shammai, who said 1st of Shvat is ready the 3rd year. And Maser Sheni, he also kept Maser Sheni like Beis Hillel, who said no, the new year doesn't start till the 15th of Shvat. So he kept both. Now, if Rabbi Akiva separated 2 lots of Maestros because he wasn't sure Beis Shammai, Beis Hillel, Lava li Esrog. Why does the Brisa tell me happen with Esrog? I feel of Kol Haloshon. Any tree will be like this. Tana, one Tana learned, Rabbi Akiva is separated from Esrog, Maser Sheni, Maser Ani, Kuchomrei Rab Gamliel, and Kuchomrei Rab Elazar. He didn't know the Lach Rab Gamliel, who say that everything's based on when you cut it like a vegetable. and therefore they were cut on the 1st of Shvat, when the third year was coming in. Or maybe the halacha like Rebbe Eliezer, we said that the year of an esrog is based on the budding, like other fruits of the tree, and they budded in the second year.
So he wasn't sure. The budding or the picking?
He wasn't sure exactly. He wasn't sure that the esrog is based on the picking or the budding, so that's why he kept both. He knew Maser Sheni Maser Ani is Safek, but the question is, what was the Safek he had? One Tana said he wasn't sure where was Rosh Hashanah. Is it Beis Shammai or Beis Hillel? The other Tana held he wasn't sure. Do you follow the gathering like Reb Gamliel or the budding like Rebbe Eliezer? Now it comes out that Reb Gamliel and Rebbe Eliezer, they both held that Rosh Hashanah for the tree is 1st of Shvat, and that's like Beis Shammai. He said Reb Gamliel, Rebbe Eliezer, let me Beis Hillel, they don't have it, but they were the following Beis Hillel. According to Beis Hillel, 15th of Shabbat. And since they were cut on the 1st of Shabbat, it's not the new year. So whether you follow the budding or the cutting, they belong to the previous year. Tifta, you can explain the case. It budded before Tu B'Shvat. Shel Shnia, at the end of the second year, according to Beis Hillel. But the third year come in and it was cut 1st of Shvat towards the end of year 3. You hear that? It was cut 1st of Shvat towards the end of year 3. You follow the cutting. It was in the third year. It's Surah Ani, it's Maser Ani. Rebbe Eliezer, who says you follow the budding, and it budded in the second year, there is Surah Sheni, therefore it's Maser Sheni. Now, in what situation will you say you fulfill your duty, Maser Sheni and Maser Ani? Ma Asalai. And what did Rebbe Kiva do to the esrog? How in the Maisa did he fulfill his duty of Maser Sheni and Maser Ani? So first, Kol Haloshon and Maser Sheni Shabbat. He separated a tenth, called it Maser Sheni. Ubadai, he redeemed it onto money. He left the money now to bring to Yerushalmi, to buy food, like Maser Sheni did him. And that tenth that was redeemed and went to Chulin, Maser Ani, he gave it to the poor person as Maser Ani. So he was Yotzis Chiyuv of both Maestros by separating one Issur. He gave the money to Maser Sheni stuff, and he also gave the fruit to Maser Ani. Now, what about blood? Blood, Rabbi say. What is blood like? Human blood. Is it what Adacha Dinim? Is it like animal blood, or is it like Sheret's blood? Dam Mahacheshtaim, so human blood, Travel Dam Behema, is similar to animal blood. It's got Din of Mashke, and Lahachshe, it can make things susceptible to receive Tumah Zra'im. Whereas Dam HaSheretz, blood, in some ways, blood of humans is like blood of Sheretz, She'en Chayavin Allah. There's no issur of eating that blood, right? There's no issur. You don't get lashes for that. But he said, but if you ate a kazayas of blood of shratzim, in Hisru by like you get lashes. But ultimately, we like Dama Sheretz, Ein Chayavin Allah. You don't get lashes. How can you say Chayav lashes? Araba, Ein Chayavin Allah kares. You don't get blood of the Sheretz, there's no kares, as opposed to Dam Behema or Dam Ha'if. But if they warned him, he gets lashes. But it says in the Torah, every blood you shouldn't have, La'if La Behema, and I exclude Dam Mahacheshtayim, She'ebo Tumakala, I exclude human blood, right? There's no din of Tumah Zeichlin, it's not the same as Eif and Behema. I also exclude Dam HaSheretz, She'ebo Tumah Chamora, it's also not Mitameh a person together with his clothes, it's not the same as Eif and Behema. So you see Dam HaSheretz, there's no Isolav, and you shouldn't get lashes on it. This din of the Bryce, you don't get lashes, is only She'hisra by Mishum Dam, when they warned him because of blood. I mean, Hisra by Mishum Sheketz, like if they warned him because of Sheretz, then he can't get lashes for that. Okay, next Mishnah. Now, animals on dry land, you have domestic behema and you have chaya. Now, Baal chaya, that's right, something that grows in your domestic thing, your cow, your goat, that's a behema. A chaya is a wild animal, or like your deer that runs wild. In some dinim, there are differences between behema and chaya. And we're going to talk about also Baal Chaim Torah, the Kai or Kvi, whichever you call it, which we'll see what sort of suffix it is. Is it Behema? Is it a Chaya? So let's see. Hakai, Yesh by Drachim, in some ways, Shabel Chaya, it's like a Chaya. Yesh by Drachim, Shabel, in some ways, it's like a Behema. Yesh by Drachim, Shabel Chaya, Vela Behema, in some ways, it's like both. So the Yesh by Drachim, Sheda Shabel Chaya, in some ways, it's not like either. Case of trouble achaya. So how is a kai like a chaya? Don't make told kisui kedam achaya. The blood needs covering like the blood of a chaya. You cannot shecht it be Yom Tov, because on Yom Tov you can't cover its blood. And if you did, therefore you can't cover over the blood, because we don't know if it needs covering over the blood. Now, b'chelboi, the fats of a nevela, of koi, metame tumas nevela, has tumas nevela like the fats of a chaya. But tumasai b'safek, but the tum is out of doubt. But ain't pointed by petach hamay, you cannot use it to redeem a donkey. But it's only a suffix chaya. Okay, so actually, because usually petach hamay tifteh b'seh. So here, this might be a chaya, so you can't use it for pidyon. Case of trouble of behema. In what way is it like a kai, like a domestic animal? So you cannot have the fats kached behema like an animal. Behema. Ve'en chayavin olav kares. However, there is no kares on it. Right? Behema chaylev, and there's kares. If they warn him, there's malchus. So here, chaylev of kai b'mezid, there's no kares because it's only isum b'safek. Right? You don't get lashes either. All carbon chatzas v'yated b'shogeg. Ve'ena nilkach v'kesed maser. You cannot use maser sheni money to buy it. Like Yerushalmi to Yerushalmi. It might be an animal. You can't buy an animal with maser sheni money. You have to use it on shlamim. A kai is not fitting for hakrava. You cannot offer it up. V'chayav, and if you do have a kai, you have to separate the gifts for the kainim. V'zoraya, v'lachayim, v'keva, the three gifts. Rabbi Lazar Paita, he passes a kai from giving the kuna, was maybe Zachaya, and the Kohen has to prove it. The Kohen will have to prove it. In what way is it not the same as Chayim? So it's forbidden to be crossbred or whatever with a Chaya or Behema, right? So in some ways it's like neither. If you give a gift of all your Chayasa, your wild animals and domestic, you didn't include the kai, like Hasabla's kai, because you only meant domestic definites. Already nazish is a chaya or behema. The person said, "I'll be a nazir on condition this is a chaya or behema," or harez a nazir. Or he said, "I'm a nazir, this is a behema." Then dinis harez a nazir. Then he is a nazir. All right. If this is a chaya or behema, it's one of the two. Now, Musha. A kai is a suffix chai, a suffix behema according to this reason, and suffix is sunnah chumrah, right? And why we're bringing this where it's not the same as chai behema, but the truth is it is. It's even if he said I'm a nazir, that this is not a chai and it's not a behema, he's still a nazir. The shah called derachav. Now in other ways of the kai, shavin l'chai behema, they are the same. Toj shchita kazeh kazeh. These shchita like both of them, but mitzvah shum nevela, shum even achai kazeh kazeh. And it's got tumas nevela, even achai, like we find with chai and behema. Eizehu kai. What is the situation of a kai where it's a suffix if it's a chai or behema? Amrulaza. Eiz she'olah gabi tzvi. So you have a male goat with a female deer. Or tzvi she'olah gabi iza, or a male deer with a female goat. And the suffix is, where do we follow the halacha? Do we follow, is it like the mother or the father? Rabbanan Amrin, they said, minhu ikarai. The kai is a min in its own right. It's not klaim of behema and chaya. They couldn't really decide whether it's a chaya or behema. You cannot redeem a donkey because it's not a definite set. If you did pater petach hamay with a kai, you have to do it again with the sheep. Therefore, if you have a suffix, which one, the Pesach Hamay, it may say if the Sah or the Kai died, then the owners can leave it in their domain, the one that stayed alive. They don't have to give it to the Kohen, because maybe you've been Yotze already. The Kohen has to prove that that the Pidyon, that this was used for the Pesach Hamay. Okay. Case of Shabbat Behema. In what way is it the same as an animal? The chaylev is also like the chaylev of an animal. You're not chayv kares. So one who eats the chaylev of kai is not kares. And Mishnah mentions the p'tor of kares, okay, on the mezid. Sounds like you eat it shaygeg, you have to bring asham taloi. But usually any shaygeg of kares, you bring asham taloi. Masnisa, our Mishnah is Kur Belaza. It should be the view like Belaza. The Tani, who learns in the price of Belaza, Amen. Kai, Chayavin, Al Chelboy, Asham Taloi. You are chayav on eating the chaylev Asham Taloi, because the chaylev of the kai is a suffix, amazing karis and shaygeg is chatos. Masnisin, now, Masnisa is mashma that shagaga shaygeg of chaylev of kai you bring Asham Taloi. That is not to like a Rav. That's not like the view of Rav. The Rav said, Kol she'efsha means efsha. Kol she'efsha lamed avodah. If you cannot have you can't work out what it is. Is it definite chorus or not? There's no way you can tell. You're not chayav Asham Taloi on the suffix. Since the chaylev of the kvi, there's no way to work out if it's isabada or not. If you're not chayav Asham Taloi, the Rav will answer, Pasala, he will explain the Mishnah is like Rabbi Elazar, but he's an individual. Chalukin adi Rabbi Elazar. He says the Chachamim argue on Rabbi Elazar. They said no. If you don't have the opportunity to check it out, if there was an issur, you're not chayav Asham Taloi. And Rav held at the view of the Chachamim. So you cannot buy it with Masa Sheni. Even at the time when it was permitted to buy behema with the money of Masa Sheni, the Basa Taiva, for your own meat to eat. That's before the Gzer Chachamim that you can only buy korban and shlamim. Even so, the kai ain't a nilkach b'kesem masa. You couldn't buy a kai with kesem masa sheni in order to lechel b'Yerushalmi to eat in Yerushalayim. But chayav is right. We have to give the three gifts to the kainim because it might be a behema. Rabbi Elazar paiter, Rabbi Elazar the three gifts. It's a savek, maybe it's a chaya, and the mitzvah chaver and a baraya. Now we brought machlekes between the chacham and Rabbi Elazar. What is a kai? According to Rabbi Elazar, it comes from the kalayin, the crossbreed of a behema and a chaya. According to the chachamim, it's a berry in its own right. So the machlekes from Elazar and chacham in our Mishnah is it chayav the three gifts comes to the machlekes as to what a kai is. Rabbi Elazar he says ashram hu nistapik lai. He says the kai. Now you have a suffix. He holds if it's born from this crossbreed, we don't know. He's got a din behema, a din chaya. The Torah didn't have any doubt. Do Amma, that's why he says that it's possible from the three gifts, because the klal is any suffix, mominous suffix, and vice versa, baraya. Rabbanan did Marid, the Chachamim who said minhu ikarai, that it's like a min in its own right. In an Amr, they say that it's chayav. You have to give these three gifts, because the Torah was mechadesh that even this min you have to give the matanis governor. In what way is it not the same as chayav behema? If you write shtam matana, all your animals, right? You didn't include the kai in it. Masnisin delaika Rabbi. It's not like the view of Rabbi. The Torah hegdish is chayasa behemta. If you made hegdish your chaya and your behema, lo hegdish the kai. The first opinion said you never intended to include the kai, but Rabbi argues and he says hegdish the kai. Yes, you have included the kai as well. Hareini nazir shezeh chaya behema. The person sees the kai. He says, "Look, I'm a nazir. If this is a chaya behema, so he is a nazir." And when he sees a kai and Amma, he says, "Hareini nazir shezeh chaya." I'm a nazir. This is a chaya. Then I raise a nazir. Well, he says, I'm a nazir if this is behema. Is that behema? Nazir, again, is behema. He says, I'm a nazir, she'ein zeh chaya, and a nazir. This is not a chaya, sorry, ein zeh chaya. This is not a chaya, it's only a behema. Nazir. He is a nazir. If he says, I'm a nazir, she'ein zeh behema, this is not a behema, it's only a chaya. Nazir. Again, he's a nazir. And if he said, I'm a nazir, I'm not shezeh chaya behema, this is both together. Nazir. He's a nazir. And if he said, I'm a nazir, she'ein zeh, it's not a chaya, it's not a behema, nazir, again, he is a nazir. So in all these cases, 1 minute, in all these cases, he puts his nazirus on the min of the kai, and it's a suffix. So he's a nazir out of suffix, as you said, suffix deraisa l'chomra. Right? When he said it should be this and that, it could be that's the case. It could be it's about a bit of this and a bit of that. And if he says it's not this and not that, maybe it's a berry in its own right. Okay? At the end of the Mishnah, we've mentioned some things that kai is equal to a chaya and to a behema. Rabbi Chagai Bikkurim Rabbi Yossi, he asked before Rabbi Yossi, Lama lai tanina, why do we not learn in our Mishnah another din that kai is equal to a chaya and a behema? That harei person has a relationship with this kai, Ranir ben Vedu has a relationship from this kai, chayav is chayav misa, just like a behema or chaya is again chayav misa. Amalei says, Tanise, we did learn it as a hint, But Sefer, at the end of the Mishnah, Shah Kol Rachav, in every other aspect of the Kai, Shavin Lachayev and Behema, it is equal to Chayev Behema, and they are included in the Issa Bravea and Nirba. Hadron Lacha Truma V'Habikurim.